If there's one company that's really going through the ringer at the moment, I think it's probably Ubisoft. The same people that bought you some of the greatest hits from your childhood, of the early Assassin's Creed games, Tom Clancy's, and even later on into Rainbow Six. It was still a powerhouse in the gaming industry, yet time and time again, in the last half decade, Ubisoft have come out with some news story that is showing the decline of their company. That perpetual cycle that keeps people giving up hope and therefore investors pull out. It ends up them just being a shell of their former selves. And I think this has been displayed in no better way than the recent debacle with the Splinter Cell franchise. The first came out back in 2002, being a stealth action adventure game. It was to tie into the novels that were endorsed by your boy Tom Clancy, following Sam Fisher, a highly trained agent of a fictional Black Ops subdivision within the NSA. It started to grow alongside with novels, and the games came out, with Pandora Tomorrow in 2004, Chaos Theory in 2005, Essentials in 2006, all the way up to the hit of Conviction in 2010, and for me, the first one I got my hands on in 2013, Splinter Cell Blacklist. But that's 9 years ago, and we haven't had a single other game since, and we haven't really even had much talk about there being any other Splinter Cell games, until more recently. Splinter Cell Blacklist was an interesting one. It started off with some pretty positive receptions, but I think generally the gaming industry had moved on since the early stealth titles of the early 2000s.
Goddamn Americans. Always playing cowboy, huh?
Don't get me wrong, I think the majority of fans still really enjoy Splinter Cell Blacklist, and especially the kind of shallow but pretty fun co-op versions. Sometimes I'll even hop on it today. Yet in more recent years, the Steam reviews have started to go mixed, and that's not necessarily down to the content, but it's because of Ubisoft themselves. Of course, it's a very old game. We're not expecting more updates and more content, but we would expect something else at least to come pretty soon. Then, 1 year ago, on the 15th of December 2021, Ubisoft announced that there would be something else for the franchise, that it wasn't completely over.
Splinter Cell is back.
Splinter Cell Remake, Stepping Out of the Shadows, was released onto Ubisoft North America's YouTube channel. It had greenlit development of a Splinter Cell remake. It will draw from the rich canvas of the brand, led by the original devs, Ubisoft Toronto. With more Splinter Cell on the horizon, Ubisoft News spoke with some of the developers that launched the original game. They're working exactly how to make this remake into the modern day, trying to bring it into something completely special and completely new. Some news of actually having ray tracing within the game, something that will be incredibly effective as the Splinter Cell series champions new technology, ways of sneaking around, and having something that actually will be able to render reflections can add a whole new dynamic of trying to stay hidden within the shadows. Yet with this excitement, there was still that skepticism, because even a year ago, the news coming out about Ubisoft and their more recent forays was starting to worry people. People saying, I really want this to happen, but we need that OG formula. Let's not mess around with something that you still have a decent reputation for. But what can we expect? It's still the company that delayed Skull and Bones time and time again. It's still the company that cancelled Tom Clancy's Frontline, a battle royale game that was slated so badly that it was completely ripped off air. And of course, Splinter Cell was also cancelled. Now, it's a little bit suspicious, since this remake has still got hints of it going ahead, yet Splinter Cell VR was going to be a thing. They were going to completely change the franchise into, well, the modern day of gaming, if that's what you can even call VR. Along with this, Ubisoft's next Avatar game, Frontier of Panda... Ubisoft's next Avatar game, Frontiers of Pandora, has been delayed and then cancelled, and 2 other previously unannounced games have been slated off the washboard. Yet since this cancellation, people pretty much lost hope until the 7th of January 2023, when Ubisoft Belgium posted a picture. Now this picture was Sam Fisher's goggles, iconic from the series, something that doesn't make that much sense. I mean, this guy is trying to be sneaky, but he's got 3 green lights on him. Look, if you need any stealth tips, my guy, you know where to come. But this got people talking. I thought this was cancelled. Are they bringing back the Splinter Cell series? I guess this is the company that will never really be all that clear. I mean, we've had the Assassin's Creed series have a complete overhaul lately, with the last Origins, Odyssey and Valhalla being incredibly controversial, stepping away from everything that really built up the Assassin's Creed franchise in the first place, to now Ubisoft saying, we get it. We're going to do something different. This is why Assassin's Creed Mirage is focusing on a more traditional Assassin's Creed foray. Something of a return to the series, the original blueprint, before it was adapted into these open world RPGs. It's quoted, the Origins, Odyssey and Valhalla. They're all great games with the promise to live an epic journey in a strong fantasy. Their scopes have been calibrated to fulfill those ambitions as they all embrace the RPG mechanics. But amongst our fans, we started to hear the desire of a character-driven story, focused on the core pillars of the first Assassin's Creeds in a more intimate scale. It resonates with us well as developers, and this will be the starting point of the next project. They go on to say how there's going to be a richer and denser map than ever before. You're also going to be able to reinvent a range of stealth skills to fit what you love from the first few. And is this a good sign? I don't even know. With the point that Ubisoft are at now, with Skull and Bones being delayed over and over again, they very clearly probably should cancel that thing, but they can't for various outside reasons. With them completely scrapping the direction they were heading with the Assassin's Creed franchise, where does this go next? Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell has always been a staple of Ubisoft's lineup, and they came out mentioning that the focus was now on big budgets and big franchises rather than individual unique experiences, which is very true. Whether you like or dislike it, it can't be argued that it is the big franchise titles that bring in most of the money. Yet Ubisoft are one of those companies that have the biggest franchises. They have Rainbow Six, they have all the Tom Clancy IPs, they have Assassin's Creed. Surely they should be the ones leading the charge on this. And I think it's just an excuse. Them saying it's not their fault why their games have been delayed. It's not their fault why their games haven't performed well. Well, Ubisoft, you have some of the biggest IPs in gaming, and if you're failing, that's gotta be on you. You are the leaders of this generation of franchise games. You kind of started it. The Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty and Battlefields of the world were the people that took us into this part of the industry that we're in now. And the fact that you can't keep up, well, I guess that's just ironic, because there's a lot to come for Ubisoft, but I don't think most of it is going to be all that positive.